Hey friends, so before we dive in today, I want to share something with you that I am so excited about. Illuminate You, the collective is back. It's 2 days in person in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina for the mompreneur, the female entrepreneur who wants to get clear, get confident, and get connected so that you can win at work without losing at home. So here's what those 2 days are going to look like. I want you to imagine walking in Thursday evening to a privately curated connection dinner at a beautiful upscale restaurant where we will have our own private space. You'll be greeted with a fun mocktail, signature mocktail, and a welcome gift. But most importantly, this night is about you being surrounded by women who get it. Women who are building businesses and building lives as moms, as wives, and the person that everyone else looks to. And by the end of this evening, all the walls have already come down and you are ready for Friday. So Friday, we're going to spend a full day understanding your personality blueprint, which is how you're naturally wired in your decision making, what your superpower is. What are the things that naturally drain your energy and naturally give you energy? What does your communication and leadership style look like at its best? From there, we're going to create plans personalized for you around all of that so you can go home and implement on Monday morning and know exactly what to focus on. So this is happening on August 27th and 28th. I'm limiting it to 20 women to keep it intimate. And the first 10 who register get 2 private one-on-one sessions with me as a bonus. So one before the event and one after. And a few of those are already gone. So I want you to go to the link in the show notes, or you can go to martinewilliams.com/the collective 2026. Save your spot. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. Well, hey friends, welcome back to the show. So the other day I was co-leading a leadership meeting. And something happened at our table. So I am co-leading a table of women entrepreneurs or women in business. And one of the women in the room who has 2 businesses, she also has young kids at home. She talked about feeling guilty, not because she was failing at work, but because she's in a season with toddler twins right now. And that season is asking more of her at home. And she keeps feeling like she's giving more to her family and that somehow she's letting her people down at work. And I looked around at our table and every single woman could resonate with that. I know I resonated with that. My kids are not toddlers anymore, but I remember having that feeling of guilt. And I think it's one of the number one emotions that burdens mom entrepreneurs or women professionals, women who have this ambition and drive to be professional, have a profession, have a successful career, and also want to be moms. So every woman in that room knew what she was feeling, the guilt of being, a good mom, the guilt of being a good leader, the guilt of somehow never feeling like you're enough in both places at the same time. So this is what we're going to talk about today. And I want to start by just saying this out loud. The guilt you feel is real. I'm not going to minimize it or tell you that you shouldn't feel it. It is a real feeling, and it makes sense given the impossible standards that most mompreneurs are holding themselves to. Or maybe there's people in your life that are holding you to just impossible standards. But here's what I also know. The guilt is lying to you. It's kind of like when we talked about the burnout voices, the voices of burnout and what it tells you. The guilt is the same. It's telling you that you have to be all things to all people all the time. That a season where you need to give more to your family means you're failing at your business, or a season where your business needs more from you means you're failing as a mom, like you're not a good mom. And that's just simply not true. This is why work life balance is a trap because it's not 50-50 ever. I can't ever remember a time where I felt like I was spending 50% of my time at work and 50% of my time with my family. Seasons exist and they're real. And the woman who learns to navigate those seasons, who gives herself permission to be in one without treating it as a permanent failure, is the woman who builds something sustainable over time. She's the woman who understands work life harmony. The woman who cannot give herself that permission burns out every single time, or she closes her business. As I've shared before, women are leading men and starting businesses, but they're also 40% more likely to close their businesses because of personal and family reasons. This is why it's the guilt that they are walking around with day in and day out. And you're working hard and you're carrying this guilt. So I want to talk about where this guilt actually comes from because I do think it matters. Most of it comes from a standard that was never designed for us. And I also think it's misplaced guilt. Guilt, by definition, is saying or stating that you did something wrong, like that you intended to do something wrong. And intended is the key word there. So I think we allow guilt and it's misplaced guilt because we haven't actually done anything wrong. But we think it's wrong because of the standards that have been designed for us. The standards of success in business were largely created by people who didn't have to think about school pickups, sick days, and the mental load of running a household while also running a company. And we have inherited those standards and tried to apply them to our lives and then felt like failures when they don't fit, right? When women become entrepreneurs, we don't drop the role of mom. We don't drop the role of wife. We're just adding that to our plate. And because we have this ambition, we have this drive, right? But we don't shut off our brains when we're at work. We're also thinking about our role as a mom. And then when we're being a mom, we're also thinking about our businesses. And I truly believe it's very different for men. I think they're able to focus on their work and they have their work. And then when they get home, they focus on their family. Like I don't think they struggle with it as much as women do. But we have inherited those standards and then we try to apply them to our lives. And then again, we feel like failures when they don't fit because of course they don't fit. They were never designed for our lives. The standards of motherhood on the other side were largely created by a generation where most women were not also running businesses. And those standards have not kept up with who we actually are and what we are actually doing. So we're holding ourselves to two impossible standards simultaneously, and then feeling guilty when we cannot meet both of them perfectly at the same time. This is an impossible equation. And the first step to getting out of it is naming it for what it is. So what actually helps you when you're in a season like this is when you're a mompreneur with a toddler, twins, or a sick parent, or in-law as I have, or a business going through growth phase, or any of the 100 things that can tip the balance. First, you got to give yourself permission to be in the season. That sounds so simple. I know it does, but it's not because most of us are so conditioned to push through it that actually acknowledging that we're in it in a hard season feels like weakness, but it's not. It's wisdom. So you have to acknowledge and give yourself permission to be in the season because seasons change. We have winter, spring, summer, fall. The season you're in now is going to change. Having toddlers is going to change when they're teenagers. And when they're teenagers and now they're, young adults as mine are, like it's all hard. It's just a different kind of hard. But give yourself permission to be in the season because I find the more you resist the season, the harder it is. Second, get honest about what that season actually requires of you. Not what you wish it required, what it actually requires right now. What needs more of you? What can get less for now? What can wait? When I was taking care of my mother-in-law, I had to get really clear on what are the essentials right now. What are the things that would be energizing for me right now? What are the things that deserve my energy and my time right now? So my priorities did shift, and getting honest about what was going to be required of me in that season was challenging because I'm used to pushing through. I'm used to just adding it on and adding another brick to my backpack and just keep on trucking. But this is where the life audit is so powerful, because when you actually see on paper where your priorities are and asking like what is asking the most of you right now, you can make conscious choices instead of reactive ones. You can intentionally choose where you're going to give your energy and give yourself permission to not feel like you have to do it all. Quick pause. If you've been listening and you're ready to stop performing your life and start leading it, if you know you're ready to feel better now, not later, and you're ready for support that actually creates sustainable transformation, I have private one-on-one coaching spots open. And inside this coaching, in Illuminate You coaching, we don't guess. We use your unique personality blueprint built from the science-backed personality and performance tool called the ProScan, the one you've heard me talk about here in the podcast. This is used so that every decision, every boundary, every shift is designed specifically around your wiring, not someone else's. This is my aligned success method. It's not hacks. It's not try harder. It's not mindset glitter. It's a real solution. It's rooted in science, strategy, and your unique design. So you can lead your life as the woman you actually are, not the woman others expect you to be. Now is the time. Take the step. Book your clarity call at martinewilliams.com/clarity. All right, back to the episode. And the third is to stop carrying it alone. This is what I want to talk about the most, because the women in that leadership meeting didn't need a strategy. She didn't need a time management system. She needed a room where it was safe to say what she was carrying. And once she said it out loud and realized like there's so much power in just speaking it out, something shifted. Not only was she able to be encouraged by the rest of us, but she realized like I just needed to say it. I needed to realize that I don't have to carry this alone. And just by sharing it, people can be praying for me. People can share their experiences with me, which many of them did. So she stopped feeling alone in it. And that changed how she was able to move forward. That's what a room does. That's what the right community does. It does not solve your problems necessarily, but it makes you feel less alone in them. And that is often the thing that finally gives you enough space to solve them yourself. To feel like I'm not the only one who feels guilty. I'm not the only one who's carrying, a successful business and also trying to be very present at home. So I want to come back to that leadership meeting for a second. And after she shared what she was carrying, I watched what was going on at our specific table. And again, it wasn't the advice that helped her. It was not the strategy or the frameworks or the tips. It was just the other women who were able to look at her with this smile or just this connection, saying like, I have felt that. You're not alone in this. And that is it. That's what changes things for most people in that moment. And it made me think about all of you mompreneurs out here carrying exactly what she was carrying with no one to say it to. No room to walk into, no table to sit at where other women get it without really you needing to explain it. They just understand it because they're also entrepreneurs who have this ambition that they want to put towards their profession. And they also are super passionate about being a mom and trying to harmonize both of those things. Because most people in our lives love us. They do, but they don't fully understand the specific experience, right? They like your friends they love you and they're good for you to listen to, but if they are not an entrepreneur, they don't get it. They can't. The experience of building a business, but also being a present mom, while also trying to take care of yourself, while also trying to show up for everyone else and be the wife, they can't understand it because they're not experiencing it. The women who understand are the women who are living it. And finding those women, being in a room with those women is one of the most powerful things a mompreneur can do for herself. It's literally one of the most powerful things that I have done for myself in my 2 decades as an entrepreneur is getting in rooms with women who get it, getting in rooms with women who might even be just one step ahead of me in the process, or might be exactly where I'm at, but just for someone to look at me and say, I understand, I have been there. There is a level of safety and comfort that comes from that. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I hadn't been intentional about making sure I'm in those rooms and continue to be in those rooms. So I want to close with something I want every one of you who's carrying guilt today to hear. You're not letting anyone down by being in a season. You are human, and seasons are a part of being human. And what you need is not more discipline or more strategies or more pushing through. What I believe you need, if you don't have it, more than anything else, is a real room with women who you can say the real thing, share the real emotion, and be met with understanding, be met with support, where you feel seen, heard, supported, activated, all of those things. And seeing her share this in this room was just such a confirmation and reminder of why I created Illuminate You, the collective. It's for women just like her who are so successful and love their businesses. And yet I could see like just this look in her face of like, how am I going to do this? Or is this possible? And not wanting to give up either one. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to sacrifice one dream for another. They can coexist. It just requires specific things. It requires specific mindsets and beliefs. It requires specific coaching. It requires specific community, being in a community with people who understand. So you've heard me talk about Illuminate You Collective on the podcast already, but this is your invitation. If you're like, I feel guilty, this is something that we're going to talk about in the collective, because I don't know anyone who hasn't experienced it. And you're going to leave the room, again, feeling seen by other women, but also having some tangible things to walk away with on how to manage the guilt that's going to pop up again on Monday when you leave. And you're going to know how to manage it, and you're going to know where to put it. And it's going to leave you in a more powerful, confident, and clear place. So this is happening on August 27th and 28th in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. I'm keeping it small to 20 women so we can have these kinds of conversations. But Thursday evening is where it begins. We're going to one of my favorite upscale restaurants. We have our own private space. You're going to be greeted with a signature mocktail and a welcome gift, and the real conversations that are going to be happening at that table are going to set us up for success for Friday, where we're going to dive into your personality blueprint experience so you can see yourself, who you are, so clearly that you stop carrying what was never yours to carry in the first place. So you can go to the link in the show notes, or you can go to martinewilliams.com/the collective 2026. And I am believing in you always. I would love to see you in the room. If you have any questions, please come to Instagram at Martine31Williams and send me a DM. And I can't wait to have you in the room. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.